Hello YouTube, my name is Paul, hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to another collection video. It's now the turn of the Amstrad CPC floppy disk collection. Probably got around about 100 titles, or say 90% of these games are Ocean and Imagine games. I'm trying to get a full set of games by that publisher in floppy disk form, which is not easy. It really is not easy. Now I've been trying to do this now for a number of years. When I think back to my collection video from 5 years ago, I had a few Ocean games, but not many. But they are particularly hard to find now. I think I'm missing about a dozen. And these are a dozen that I know exist, because either I've seen them or I've seen evidence that they exist. May not necessarily have been released in the United Kingdom, but they are certainly out there. Now what I'll do first is show you the games that are non-Ocean. Not many of them. Yeah, maybe just a handful to be fair. And some games I'd love to have on the Spectrum, but I'll keep the Amstrad version until I find the Sinclair Spectrum equivalent. But I won't dwell too much on the games, only because the video could go on for quite some time. Now first up, we've got Barry Mcguigan World Championship Boxing. It's a pretty cool simulation, very simple simulation. But again, played this one for a long time on my Spectrum. Did really enjoy it, to be honest. Now most of these games, as far as I'm aware, are complete. But I'm not going to do this for every single game, maybe just a few, just to show you what some of the games look like inside. But it looks like this particular version. Phew, I was missing instructions, but there they are, tucked behind the disc. Not a particularly expensive game, not a desirable one, but I, to be honest with you, really enjoyed that back in the day. On the Spectrum. Most of my experiences are with the Sinclair Spectrum. There'll be very few games here that I played back in the day on the Amstrad. Now I've got a handful of US Gold games, not many. Chicago 30s. A very difficult, would call it run and gun, but it doesn't have a run and gun vibe. It's quite a slow game, quite a slow paced game. But to be fair, it's okay. Again, one I saw back in the day in magazines, I didn't actually own it. Next up is the legendary Outrun. Never really played this, I've got to be honest. Played it on the Spectrum. Quite enjoyed it, although it was very, very slow. The Amstrad version, I've got to be honest, I've never played before. Comes with a music tape and all the other bump you would normally get with Outrun. And the only other clam case I've seen like that by US Gold on the Amstrad is this one, which is 720 degrees. Probably the only reason why I've got these two games in the collection, to be fair. I love these cases. Never seen them before on the Spectrum. I've seen a few of these on the Atari ST, but the vast majority reside on a Commodore 64. I think there's probably a dozen of them, at least a dozen of those style cases on the C64. Right, we've got The Adventure Goes On, Game Over 2. This is Game Over 2 and Game Over 1 in the same pack. It's a lovely little pack, this, I've got to say. Very rarely see it on a Spectrum. Again, probably the reason why I got it on the Amstrad. Comes with the first game inside as well, poster. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really well presented package, I've got to say. Game Over 2. Now this next item I'm going to show you sold for an absolute fortune recently on the Sinclair Spectrum. It doesn't come up very often, I've got to say. But yeah, I was surprised it went well in excess of £100. And that is this 2-game pack, Evening Star and Southern Belle. I had an Evening Star back in the day from the Home Computer Club. Very slow train simulator, I've got to say. But yeah, very nice to have this. Again, this wasn't overly expensive. Not sure why I got Amstrad Action cassette in there, but I got one in there. But yeah, lovely, lovely, well presented pack. I've got to say, yeah, I couldn't believe that on the Spectrum. My God. What else? What else? Right, the next one, again, this is one I really want on the Sinclair Spectrum. Just does not come up very often. I got 2 copies. One on cassette, one on disc, and that's Nigel Mansell's World Championship. Again, this one, stick on the sticker there, underneath the sticker says Sinclair Spectrum. So if I would like the box complete version of the Spectrum, or just a cassette will do. But yeah, I thought for a second it may well have had the Spectrum version on the same cassette as the Amstrad, but no such luck. But yeah, so I picked that one up really, just in case, if I'm lucky, to find it on the Spectrum on cassette. Again, the game was only released through in limited numbers, and I think it was the last game to be reviewed in Sinclair User as a full price game. That's the disc version. So very obscure, does not come up very often, would love it on the Sinclair Spectrum. I think the Amstrad version looks identical. I think it's just a straight port. Another title I haven't really played before is Captain Planet and the Planeteers. This is the +3 disc and the Amstrad disc version. Again, I just picked this one up for the sake of it, to be honest. Don't come up very often. Not a valuable game by no means. But yeah, it's nice to have it in a collection. No real reason, to be honest. And the next one is a game again I would like on the Sinclair Spectrum. Probably the most difficult US gold game to find on that system. Probably is as well on the Amstrad, to be fair, and that's Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. A tough game to find. Remember seeing it once before in a bundle for 20 quid on the Sinclair Spectrum. As you can imagine, as soon as I clicked on it, it was gone. Never seen it since. To be fair, I've probably seen 2 or 3 copies on the Amstrad over the last sort of 5 years. I've seen maybe about 7 or 8 on the Commodore 64, but only that one on the Spectrum. I'm pretty sure. Got 2 more actually, 2 more disc games to show you. Nearly forgot these 2. Not had these that long, to be fair. That's Super Cauldron by Titus. I would like some more Titus games, I've got to say. Games like forget already what they're called now. Crazy Cast 3, I think came out like this on floppy disk. Maybe Titus and Fox did. And the Blues Brothers, to name but a few. But yes, a few games by Titus I wouldn't mind getting hold of. And then the last one I got by Titus is Prehistoric 2. Hard to get game, desirable title. A game that was made, I think you could play it on the CPC and the Plus as well. It's called CPC Plus on here, but it's just called the Plus machines, wasn't it? But yeah, a very good game. Well, graphically, technically it was great, wasn't it? But I think to play, it wasn't anything special. Right, where do we start? With the ocean stuff. Right, start with Imagine then, shall we? Wreck Le Mans. Very good game on the Amstrad. I do like this game. Again, I picked this up, I think, as a replacement for one I've already got. Hence why it's on top of the pile. Complete with its sticker. And all of the other gump you get with it. Poster. Floppy disk. Then we got Batman the Caped Crusader. Get another nice desirable title to have in its big box form. Should have a poster in there and floppy disk. It's in lovely condition. Some of these games I've been very fortunate picking them up in such nice condition, to be honest. And another very good Amstrad game, that's Robocop. Yeah, lovely, again, lovely condition. Including its poster. Used to have a sticker back in the day. I'm not sure the sticker's still in here. No. But again, Robocop comes up all the time, doesn't it? So there's no difficulty in picking up a cassette version and taking the sticker out of that. And then a recent addition, which I haven't shown yet, is this Le Monde something. French compilation I picked up recently. You guessed it, from France. But yeah, I thought I'd pick this one up because it's quite an obscure one. Nice to add it to the collection. There's a few French compilations I'd like. I'm not kind of going for a compilation collection as well, but you never know, do you? You never know. I just sell quite a few compilation games off from Amstrad quite recently for my Ocean collection on the Amstrad. So I think I said that. Right, next up we've got some of these technical items. Laser Basic Laser Compiler and Laser Genius. That's Laser Compiler, still sealed. I'm never going to use it, to be fair. I picked this one up a number of years ago. Along with Laser Genius, probably the weakest of the three in terms of condition. Big old box. These aren't that cheap to pick up anymore, probably sort of 30-40 quid. Again, all on a floppy disk. And last but not least is Laser Basic, which this one is in nice condition. I think one of these appeared in my very first pickup video. Can't remember which one it was. Even then I was quite surprised by the price of these things. But again, lovely big boxes to have. And the collection really, a bit different, aren't they? Right, next up we've got some double jewel cases of the standard cassette variety. First up we got Game Over. Again, I think this one's incomplete. Now what you'll find with these games as well is they have Amstrad specific instructions, and sometimes they have Amstrad disc specific instructions, which makes it that more difficult to get them complete. Taipan is next. I think that one has instructions, but as you can see they are specific to the Amstrad, so it's not always easy to pick these games up complete. It's just as difficult trying to actually complete the pack and put the right instructions in there. Head Over Heels had the same problem with this as well, with the Amstrad specific instructions. Get on floppy disk. These are all floppy disk, got no cassette games here to show you. An early one I picked up probably sort of 5 years ago actually, that was Army Moves. A nightmare to find on the Amiga and the ST, but yeah, on the 8-bit's not too bad. And we got Whizball. Recently sort of took a bit of time out to play this game. Plays okay, got to say, not a bad game at all. And last but not least is Mario Brothers. Not had this that long. Last year I think I picked this up. Again, not a cheap one. Doesn't come up very often. Thankfully complete with instructions. As far as I'm aware thus far, there's a few more games like this I don't have. I think Mutants came out like this. Trying to think what other games came out like this. Definitely Mutants. Mutants is one of the ones I'm missing. Phantom Club, I'm not sure if it came out like this or it came out in one of the sort of more square disc cases. So I'm missing those two. Running out of room. We've got some of the longer boxes you got from Ocean Software back in the day. The first one being Mad Balls. This one was quite difficult to find. You don't see the Amstrad version come up very often. Complete, I believe, with stickers and other bits and bobs, as you can see. But yeah, nice to have this. I stupidly enough bought this one, sold my Spectrum version, and then had to get the Spectrum one back. But the Spectrum version, I believe, had all the stickers as well, whereas my current one doesn't. I do stupid things sometimes. Platoon. One of those nice long boxes. I think this one comes complete with the Smokey Robinson tape. In fact, it doesn't. So this one's incomplete. I'm missing the postcard and the cassette. So I might have to raid my Spectrum version. I won't really. Dave Thompson's Olympic Challenge. Again, these long box games normally came with a poster. What I like about the Ocean games as well on the Amstrad is they are programmed differently to the Spectrum versions in most cases. So you sometimes got a better game. Again, complete with music tape, poster. Looks like some kind of wall chart. But yeah, again, like I said, not a lot of these games come up very often. I have to lean all over the place at the minute, so I've got games everywhere. So I was going to do it in two parts, but I thought, why not just get out of the way. Next up, we've got the square boxes, the square cases. Red Heat. Again, I think I've had this one for quite some time. I do believe this is a straight specky port. I think most games by Special Effects were straight specky ports. This is a shame, because that's a developer who were pretty good. Combat School. Classic multi-sport event game. Do like that game. One of the very few games I remember playing back in the day on an Amstrad, and that's Operation Wolf. Again, a very good conversion on the Amstrad. I do like these cases. There's quite a few of them on the Amstrad, got to say, and on the C64 as well. Now, a lot of these games came out on the +3, but not as many as you might think. New Zealand Story. Probably another reason why I sold my +3 collection recently, because I've already got games like this on the Amstrad, so I don't really want to have too many duplicates across different formats. Run the Gauntlet. A decent little game. Bit boring, I suppose, but it's alright. Completed this one recently. Rambo 3. Completed this on the Spectrum Amstrad. Trying to do it on the ST and Amiga. Slightly more, I think, slightly different game. In some levels, the items are in a different place. Match Day 2. I just discovered recently you can buy games like this for the Amstrad PCW. Another obscure machine, especially for playing games on. This one's usually quite pricey. Seems to have gone down a little bit recently though, and that's Grisor. Desirable game that used to go for about 100 to 150 quid. Last time I saw this sell, it sold for a bit less, like about £90 or so. Then we've got a game. It took me an age to find on the Spectrum, but I did manage to get it on the Amstrad and Commodore 64. That's Tank. Again, not overly expensive. I saw a copy of this come up not long ago. It didn't go for a lot of money, 20 quid. I was quite surprised. It doesn't come up very often. We've got Cabal. A very good game again. This was a bizarre one. This is Special Effects too, isn't it? I can't remember if this one is a Spectrum port. To be honest, I can't remember. I'd assume it would be. I think they are the Special Effects games. Now, this one, I believe, was only released in France. Been hoping to find a Spectrum version in France, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. That's Beach Volley. Specky version you can pick up on Ubisoft label from Spain. Commodore 64 version didn't get a release, only on a compilation. So yeah, the Amstrad is potentially the only 8-bit version you could buy like that. Then we go over to some Imagine square box games. I've got Guerrilla War. And I'm pretty sure I picked this game up when it was at auction. It was listed as Operation Wolf. I think the cover was the wrong way round. So all I saw, I think, was that. So I wasn't convinced it was Operation Wolf, just by the look of it, to be fair. But yeah, pleasantly surprised to find this game. Again, one that doesn't come up very often. Again, I think I showed this in my first pickup video. That's Arkanoid's Revenge of Doe. Whereas I picked this up for the Amstrad and, I believe, for the Amiga in the same month. Typical. Now, the next game I got off Sega Zombie. He was auctioning off some of his Amstrad games a few years back. Again, tough to find on the Amstrad and the Spectrum. Didn't get released over here on the C64, and that's Victory Road. But I think you can buy it in America for the C64. But yeah, very similar to the one I just showed you, actually, Guerrilla War. It's got exactly the same title music. Next up is another tough one you don't see very often, even on cassette, and that's Freddy Hardest. Picked this one up a little while ago, maybe a couple of years ago now. Came up by it now, 20 quid. As did the next one. Similar sort of price, and that is Magmax. Could do with an upgrade on this one. I've got a little bit of water damage on here. Not that bad, to be fair. And then we have another obscure Spanish game called Basket Master. Had this back in the day on the Sinclair Spectrum. Again, one you don't see very often. And then we've got the original Arkanoid in a very thin square case compared to the others. Again, this one was quite a recent-ish addition. Now a relatively common game, and that is Dragon Ninja. Yeah. Next up is another game I believe is a straight port, and that is Typhoon. Took me ages to find this game. I wanted it on cassette for my Spectrum. I had it back in the day, back in the sort of the autumn of 1988. Finally got it on the Spectrum, but I think I got it on the Amstrad before. Then we've got some classic beat 'em ups. Got Target Renegade. Not got to grips with these games on the Amstrad, I've got to say. In fact, I don't even think I played this on the Amstrad before. I have played the first and third one though. Could do with an upgrade for this. This is Renegade. I think my Renegade is not in the best of conditions. I think you can probably see the spine on it, but it's a little bit worse for wear. Again, you don't see these come up very often. And then Renegade 3. Again, recently completed that on the Spectrum after 30 odd years. A very tedious game, got to say. Very repetitive game. I think these are the last two now. Next up is Salamander. Very slow specky port. I think this is a specky port. Very slow indeed, actually. And then last but not least is the Vindicator. Again, one of the first games I think I picked up for the 6128, or the floppy disk, I should say. Right, that's it for the square box games. Got another compilation to show you, and that is the Batman, Hollywood featuring Batman and the Untouchables. Quite an obscure one. Comes with those plastic cassette versions of them games. I still don't know where Robocop came from like that, to be honest. Was it actually released like that in the shops? I don't know. Right. Let's check out a few of the small box games. I'm trying to show you them in some kind of order, really, but I don't think it's working out. Right, first up, we've got Batman the movie. Again, not a bad game on the Amstrad. I found it quite challenging, actually. Again, another game I've completed recently on the Spectrum after all these years. Smash TV. Get a recent upgrade. A very good conversion on the Amstrad, got to say. We've got Narc. Again, the 8-bit conversions are really good. 16-bit conversions were bloody hard. I don't think you'll ever complete the Amiga version. We've got Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I'm always looking for upgrades for these games. Most of them are in decent condition, but yeah, some I do need to upgrade. Then we've got WrestleMania. European Rampage didn't get an Amstrad release. Chase HQ. Surprisingly, this was quite expensive. Chase HQ 2 didn't come out on floppy disk or cassette. There's one less to worry about. Just keep that one for the GX4000. And we've got Total Recall. Again, a recent upgrade, I think. I believe this one was sealed until I opened it about 2-3 weeks ago. But yeah. The problem is you keep the game sealed, it kind of makes the game box go a funny shape. So I tried to take the seals off, to be fair. I know some people will go mental, but to be fair, I'd rather they were breathing out of their cellophane. Hell boxes. Midnight Resistance. Again, I think this is another port over by Special Effects. Untouchables. A very tough film tie-in. Do like this game though, but it is brutally hard. Operation Thunderbolt. These box games are generally quite cheap to pick up, generally. The one I'm missing is Nightbreed, the action game. It's the only box game I think I'm missing. Shadow Warriors. Same on the plastic cassette games. Now, Plotting was another game that you could only get on the GX4000, along with Chase HQ 2. There's a couple of others. Navy Seals you couldn't get on cassette or disc. Robocop 2, not on cassette or disc. This one here is regarded as quite rare, but I have seen 3 or 4 copies on cassette. That's Adidas Championship Football. This game came out after the event of the World Cup. The Amstrad version, you never got the music cassette with this. You only got it with the Commodore and the Spectrum version. So yeah, quite hard to find. I've never seen it on floppy disk. Right. So yeah, like I said, there was no Plotting, but there was Puzznick. Quite a tough one to get hold of. The Simpsons, sometimes these things come with little goodies in them. Like the old badge there, I think it's a badge or keyring. Or a brooch even. Yeah, the Simpsons, Simpsons Bart versus the Space Mutants. And these ones are left in plastic cases. I guess some of them are quite hard to find. Again, this is Adidas Championship Tiebreak. You don't see it very often, even on cassette, to be fair. I'm trying to think what else didn't come out. There's 4 or 5 games that came out of GX4000, but not on floppy disk. And like I said, there's probably about a dozen left to find. Darkman, I'm pretty sure I got this off Sega Zombie as well, along with Victory Road. Don't often see Darkman again on cassette, let alone floppy disk. Same with the next one, which is another film tie-in. These are all tough to get hits with games, aren't they? And that is Hudson Hawk. To be fair, floppy disk versions don't come out that often either. Next up is a game that's very difficult to find across all the 8-bit formats. Now, I heard a story this game was withdrawn from sale, but I have no idea why. And that is Sliced by Secret Agent. A lot cheaper to find to buy on the Amstrad than it is on the Sinclair Spectrum. About 20 quid I think that cost me. Which I think it still goes for about 20 quid today, to be fair. Now, next one, I originally bought this one, it didn't work, and I subsequently got another version of it, another copy of it, and that is the Addams Family in nice condition. Again, I think this was the final 8-bit release by Ocean Software across the formats. Or 8-bit home micro, that is. Again, nice to have that on floppy disk. And then we got a classic. Again, this is great across all the different platforms again. What a game. That's Rainbow Islands. I'm pretty sure Rainbow Islands also got the same release as the other systems on the Amstrad, where it had the full illustration rather than that black band around the outside. Still would like to pick that up as a variant, really. And last but not least, on the small box collection, is probably one of the rarest games I got in the collection, full stop. Only ever seen this copy. Unfortunately, it's incomplete. That's Space Gun, which was, I think, was a dedicated plus release. Again, apparently only got released in France, but I did pick this one up from the UK. Now, I replaced the back of the box with a nicer version, because the back of the box that I had wasn't great. It's identical to the Spectrum and the showing that already, haven't I? Spectrum and Commodore versions. This game was destined for the GX4000. Then it basically just stuck with the floppy disk version. But again, the instructions I have are for the Amstrad, not the Amstrad, Commodore and Spectrum version. I don't have a dedicated Amstrad, because it wasn't supposed to come out, was it? If you look at the top there, it was not destined for the Amstrad. But yeah, it's a very rare game. Now, if it came out in France, only in France, then that'd be interesting to know that. But again, I've never seen it besides this one copy. This is probably one of the most expensive games I picked up for the Amstrad. I think it cost around £200. And it was listed as untested, obviously incomplete as well. So yeah, it's a tough one to find, but a lovely addition to my Amstrad collection. Let's move these out of the way a minute. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Some of the games I'm missing on those small star boxes. Yeah, it's definitely Nightbreed. Let's have a quick look a minute. What else are we missing? I've seen it before though. I did miss out on it, unfortunately. Frankie Goes to Hollywood came out in one of those longer boxes. I definitely saw that. It went in a bundle. Rastan came out in one of the square jewel cases. Again, saw that in a bundle. Mutants I've seen twice on the continent. They didn't want to send it across. Slatfight, I believe, is a thin square case. Again, I have that on floppy disk only. Hunchback the Adventure. That's a wallet game. Love to get that game. Love the artwork on that game. Never seen it. Daily Thompson Super Test, I have the disc, but I don't have the large wallet case. Miami Vice, never seen it. Again, that's a wallet case. I've seen it on CPC Wiki or somewhere like that. Battle Command, I've seen that on the Amstrad PCW, but never on the CPC. Again, game that only got released for the 6128. Phantom Club, and that's it. That's the only games that I know of that I'm missing. Bit of a spoiler there, because I'm about to show you some of the wallet games as well. Right. In no particular order, this is quite a recent addition. The Never Ending Story. Do love these cases. You know, US Gold released a lot like this. You can get Bruce Lee like this. But again, because I'm not really going for anything besides Ocean, the size of the case compared to the disc and instructions. But again, I had to get another copy of this to complete it. As per usual, the instructions are just dedicated. It's back to front, look. Why is the writing back to front? Maybe it doesn't come up back to front on the, on the finished video. I'm going to check that out. This one I bought, one of the first ones I picked up in quite fair condition. And that is Konami's Golf. Again, you very seldom see that. I'm pretty sure that was in my original Amstrad video as well. Don't know how to pronounce this one. Legend of Cage. I've heard someone call it something different recently. Carjay or something. I don't bloody know. Looks like Cage to me. But yeah, this was quite a tough one to find. Again, I think I picked this one up from France. A lot of these I picked up from France. But yeah, good place to go for your Amstrad gear. Ping Pong. Yeah, not many more wallet games to get. Now, I don't know if Rambo First Blood Part 2 got a release like this. Never seen it. Green Beret. Luckily, I found out that Mikey didn't get a release on the under the Imagine label. So that's one less to worry about. V. Viva Victory. Yeah, that's quite a nice one to pick up. Again, another French pickup, and then later on I found it in the UK in better condition, and that is Cobra. Dreadful game on the Amstrad. Then we got Galvan or Galavan, depends on how you spell it, I guess. Sometimes you forget, or I forget what I've got. You don't realise these games came out in wallet form. But yeah. Probably one of the first ones I picked up was Batman. An isometric game. These vary quite a lot in value. This is probably the most expensive wallet game I picked up. Since put it in a nicer wallet case. And that is Donkey Kong. Again, you very rarely see that. It's bad enough trying to find it on cassette, to be fair. This sent me back about £100 from a collector in Canada. That is a duplicate of his as well. I've never seen it before. Then we got a few of the old They Sold a Millions for the Hit Squad collection. No Hit Squad games were released on floppy disk as far as I'm aware on the Amstrad. I don't know if there's a variant with Spy Hunter. I do believe Spy Hunter got released by Amsoft and not US Gold. I think they sold the rights to Amsoft. They probably bundled it with one of their machines maybe. So I doubt there's a variant for the Amstrad, because that would be bloody hard to find if there was one. And I don't know if there's a German variant of They Sold a Million 3 which doesn't have Rambo but has Daley Thompson's Super Test. But yeah, that's those. Then we move on to the Great Escape. Again, the wallet disc games on the C64, there's more range, more available than there is on the Amstrad. I was pleasantly surprised to see games like, Rambo was definitely on the Commodore 64 and Knight Rider. Top Gun, another one I had from quite early doors, really. Almost finished. Yar Kung Fu 2. We're going to slide off in a minute. Yar Kung Fu, the original. Probably one of the earliest wallet games. Recently acquired a wallet game for another system. Hypersports. Another classic game. Those are classics here, aren't they, really? Movie, again, one of the earlier ones that I picked up. And last but not least, is my most recent addition, yet to feature in an Ocean pickup video. That's Short Circuit. This one, again, wasn't cheap. I think this one was about 100 quid as well. Picked it up from France. But that's it. That is all I have. I shouldn't say all I have. That's a fair whack of Ocean games there. But like I said, I'm still missing a dozen or so. I've kind of already said what they are. I have seen half of them. Some I've never seen before, like Battle Command. I've never seen Miami Vice before. I've never seen The Adventures of Hunchback before. Games I'd love to have in the collection. I did have a couple of loose discs, but I can't find them now. One is Slap Fight, which I don't have the case for, and one is Daley Thompson's Super Test, which also came out in a wallet case. That's it. Didn't take long, actually. 35 minutes. It will take a bit longer than that. But yeah, that is what I have thus far on Amstrad floppy disk. So thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you very much for subscribing. I'll see you guys again real soon. Take care and bye for now.